Do you ever feel like you're constantly trading low back pain for knee pain as you chase your warrior two? Or feel that that mythical 90 degrees in the front leg is just a myth? Then this yoga hack video is for you. So let's do some learning. So in warrior two, the ideal is we're opening up our hips, pointing our pelvis towards the long side of the mat. The back leg is moving into abduction, while that front leg is coming into hip flexion. Now, the most common cueing that you'll hear in a yoga class is to drop your tailbone or tuck your tailbone, which then brings a bit more hip extension into that front hip. Now, while this is technically correct, because most people do have some form of anterior tilt that they need to lift up out of if they actually want that strong, nice long lines in the upper body for that warrior two. But there's some problems that come from that cueing that might actually be limiting your mobility and your ability to get deeper into the pose. And consequently, also long term, could be limiting your mobility in your daily life and even going into your other yoga poses. And I'm going to explain why that is. So our pelvis has these joints here, and then our pelvis has the ability to move. Our tailbone actually turns to each side. Now, these are very small movements. I'm exaggerating it enough to be able to see. They're very small movements, but there are very important movements in our lower body mobility. And the reason why the tailbone is able to turn and rock is because we have all this space here in the back of our pelvis. So when we cue dropping your tailbone in a strong pose like warrior two, more often than not, that's going to come from clenching your glutes. Your glutes go over your hamstring here, connecting to your femur. And when we clench our glutes, it closes this outlet off. And that limits the ability for the tailbone and the rest of the pelvis to do those little movements, thus making it hard for that front leg to go into external and then that internal rotation that we need to try to progress towards that 90 degrees. And then it becomes a long-term problem because it limits your mobility as you're doing it, but you can actually get stuck like this. And then if you get stuck like this, it affects your everyday mobility and your other ability to do your other poses. So because of that, we're actually going to be starting with a bonus posterior capsule stretch before we get into our hacks today. Because if you have that stuck posterior compression in the back, then these hacks aren't going to do much good. We have to be able to release it and be able to get those micro movements back if we want to actually progress in our warrior two. Our posture and breath hack will be addressing that anterior pelvic tilt in a more productive manner that will actually train your body to actually be able to go into a neutral spine in your everyday life, which will then transfer into your yoga poses. And then our breath, then we'll be doing our strength hack that will be getting into the ability of that internal and external rotation of our leg. And then we'll do our mobility hack that will kind of play with all of it. So, explaining our posture and breath hack here, we're going to be addressing that anterior pelvic tilt on our back. So here's our back, and then we have these parts of our back of our pelvis here. You might actually be able to trace your pelvic bone and find them. And when you're in an anterior pelvic tilt, they stay off of the mat, and that's what kind of causes that excess arching in your low back. And what we want is to be able to get these points of the bone down onto the ground while getting our hamstrings to engage with the glutes in a way that's not clenching, that will keep the pelvis nice and neutral. We're also going to be doing some breathing exercises that will also be engaging the upper part of our body and using our obliques to also keep that neutral pelvis. So as a side note, it doesn't mean that you can't correct your posture in Warrior Two with that pelvic tilt, but you do want to use more of your obliques than your glutes to actually get that pelvic tilt, which you can do by that exhale, bringing your rib cage to your belt line rather than thinking on clenching those glutes. Okay, coming into our posterior capsule stretch, we're going to be coming onto our hands and knees. You're going to walk your left leg in the middle. You're going to send your right foot out. You're going to walk it over, and then you're going to bend your knee. And then you're going to shift back, hinge your hips back, and then you're going to think about pressing that left hip out to the left side. We're looking for like a bony stretch sensation. So kind of play with it. Should be happening like right in the side of the pelvis. You can almost picture that ideal of your tailbone coming away from your hip. And we'll just take a couple of moments just to breathe in here. Feel the back of your rib cage expand up. Exhale, sinking a little bit more. And then walking out of it, bringing that right leg in center, left leg back, walking it back, dropping that knee, hinging back, and then pressing towards that right side. Looking for that bony stretch sensation, and then breathing into the back of your rib cage. And then coming out of it, and I actually would recommend hitting the left side, so the side we start on, an extra time and ending on that side, because that's usually the side that needs that stretch a bit more. So doing it once on the right and twice on the left works pretty well for me. So that's the bonus posterior capsule stretch. So let's get to our posture and breath hack. You're going to need a chair or a bench or a shelf. I'm going to be using this chair. Bonus points if you can get your feet flat on a wall, because your feet actually is what wires these posture breaths to your brain, and then it helps it stick longer. So we're going to be coming down onto our backs, legs on the chair. And you want to try to release your pelvis and relax to get those points of your pelvis down on the ground. So that space between the top of your hip bones is relaxing to the ground. From here, you're going to think about driving your heels into the chair, like 2-3 effort. We don't want to go too hard, but play with it until you feel hamstring engagement where it meets your glutes. So down here, it's easy to get that engagement down up here sometimes, and you have to work for it to get it further down. And then we're just going to hold that light pressure. If you're able to get your feet on the wall, you want to think about the ball of your big toe, ball of your little toe, and your heel pressing into the wall. And then we're going to also work a little bit on our rib cages. So we're going to take our hands and put it on the bottom of our rib cage. And every time you exhale, you're going to kind of press your rib cage like as if you're trying to assist it coming down to your belt line. Then inhale. Try to breathe in your upper part of your chest. Don't let your ribs go like this. We're trying to prevent that. Exhale. Use your hands. Little assist, bringing that rib cage towards belt line, keeping that glute and hamstring engagement. Inhale. Exhale. And we'll do this for about 8 breaths. So we're about halfway there. Feel free to relax and reset as needed. Just keeping the contact and that space between your hip bones on the floor. Check in with your neck too. Nice and relaxed neck. It's very common for that neck to try to kick on and assist your breathing, assist the stabilization. But we want a nice relaxed head. And that's it for our posture and breath hack. So let's move on to our strength hack. You are going to need a weight. So what we're going to do is we're going to be coming into an open hip lunge variation. So you're going to be coming into that low lunge, and then you're going to take that back foot and you're going to turn it out. And then you can keep it right under your hip, or if you can walk it out so that you're getting more of the inside part of your knees onto the ground, that works nicely. And then you want to think about lifting up, exhaling, pulling that rib cage down to help stabilize the core. And we're going to be working on our internal and external rotation of our leg. So we're going to be taking that weight in the inside hand. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be shifting forward, thinking of bringing that knee to the third and fourth toe. So you're just going to shift forward as much as you can, keeping that stack. And then when you hit to where you can't go any further, you're going to think about adjusting that knee, now sending it towards the front and second toe. You might feel your arch collapse a little bit here. You're going to press as much forward as you can, and then you're going to shift back that knee towards the third and fourth toe, feeling that arch lift. And then from here, you're going to press firmly into the foot, ball of your heel, ball of your big toe, ball of your little toe. And on your exhale, you're just going to lift up out of it. Inhale, coming into it, going towards that third and fourth toe, arch lifting, then shifting. First and second toe, arch collapsing, back to that third and fourth toe, arch lifting. Firmly press back into all 3 points. So, depending on your weight, you might not need much of these, like 8 or so. If you have a lighter weight, you might need more or different sets. But we're basically just trying to train our knee. This is what we need to be doing in Warrior 2. Going towards that third and fourth toe, really getting that internal rotation. Going for that first and second toe, letting your leg going a bit more into internal rotation. And ending in that external rotation. Getting that strength, pressing out of it. Keeping that stack and getting that nice stretch in the back hip, opening up for more abduction. You can totally use your hand to help track your knee to that third and fourth toe, first and second, third and fourth, and press up. We'll do one more on this side for the sake of the video. Third and fourth toe, first and second, back to that third and fourth, and up. And then we'll go to the other side to make it even. So coming into that low lunge, turning that leg out, trying to get that little bit of that inside of your knee if you have that flexibility. Weight on the inside. Finding that stack. Bring your rib cage down to help stay out of that anterior pelvic tilt. And then we go forward. Third and fourth toe. Collapsing that arch a little bit, first and second. Lifting that arch, third and fourth. And up. Bringing it down, third and fourth, first and second, third and fourth, and lifting. So when you're doing Warrior 2, when you get down as far as you can go, if you think going more to your first and second after going to your third and fourth, that allows your femur to go more into internal rotation, which is what you need to actually get lower. We end with the third and fourth toe to keep your knee from bowing out to the side And it keeps that long lines in that warrior two that we're searching for. So third and fourth toe, first and second, third and fourth, firmly pressing into those 3 points of contact. We'll do it one more time. Third and fourth, first and second, third and fourth, and pressing back. And there we have it, our lunge variation, our warrior two low lunge variation. Moving on to our mobility drill, we're going to be doing some work in a yogi squat garland pose. So stepping your toes out wide, maybe angling them out to help get the most external rotation. You can always put a block so you can sit on if you have the ability to get into this position, but not the strength. You can also come down onto your bottom, trying to keep that long stack in your spine using your hands to do this move. What we're going to be working on first is getting our weight into our heels. It is totally acceptable to grab onto something so that you can actually come back into your heels. That will actually make this move more challenging and also help with more genuine ranges of motion. But we're going to take our elbows into our knees, take them out, got that nice prayer pose, lifting up tall, dropping that tailbone, working on that, working on strengthening out of that anterior pelvic tilt. And then here we go. What we're going to do is we're going to shift our weight into one foot. We're going to drop this knee towards the ground, press into that heel, and before lifting it back up, shift the weight into the other foot, drop that leg down, pressing into that heel, and then coming up. Always can take that break in the center, dropping it down, center, dropping it down, center. So if you block, you can pretty much do that. If you're down on your bottom, you're going to want to use your hands to make sure you're nice and tall as you drop that leg down and bring it up. And then as you drop it down, you want to kind of think about shifting into that leg that's dropping so that you're not like opening up and cheating the move. So bringing that up, we'll just do that a couple more times. Shift your weight into one side. Drop that knee toward down as much as you can, pressing that heel as you come back up. Shift down and up. You feel it. You can feel it really, really quick here. We'll do one more on each side. You can always use your hand down on the ground for assistance as you get tired. And then we'll bring it down. Shake those legs out. Now let's try our warrior two. So standing tall, stepping that back leg out, toes pointing to the long side, foot out wide, maybe having that wider stance or doing that traditional heel to arch. Pulling your collarbones apart. Exhale, pull that rib cage down. Nice and loose glutes. We're going to shift forward into that warrior two, just pressing strongly into that back foot. Knee going to that third and fourth toe, lifting the arch. Collapse that arch, first and second toe, and then down to that third and fourth toe. Pressing into your heel. Breathe, feel yourself lifting up. Exhale, sinking a little bit more. Inhale, exhaling down into it. And there we have it, warrior two. So there we go. Our yoga hacks for warrior two. Please feel free to click on our yoga hack playlist to see our hacks for other poses. And I hope this was helpful, and I hope to see you in another video.